Welcome to Silent Secrets. Today, I'm about to give you something that will completely shift the way you look at relationships, love, and yourself as a man. Why do some men stay grounded, respected, and unshaken, while others lose themselves in endless games, emotional roller coasters, and heartbreak that feels like it rips them apart piece by piece? The answer isn't luck. It's not fate. And it's not because some men are simply chosen, while others aren't. The answer is knowledge. And once you have this knowledge, everything changes. With it, she can't use silence to keep you trapped. She can't dangle affection like a prize. She can't push your buttons and expect you to react on demand. Because when you see through the illusions, the games collapse. So stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal the powerful truths that end manipulation forever and put you back in control of your emotions, your relationships, and your life. I don't want you to just watch this passively. I want you to claim this moment as a turning point. Right now, before we begin, take a second and do 3 things. Hit subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Tap like to push this message further, to men who need it. And in the comments, write these words: I refuse to be blind anymore. That's your declaration. That's your first step. Now let's get into the truths that will shift everything. Truth number 1, the difference between conditional and genuine. Love most men step into relationships with blind faith. They hear the words, I love you, and assume it means I love all of you. Your flaws, your weaknesses, your low moments, everything. They imagine love as a steady flame, unconditional, eternal, untouched by circumstances. But here's the harsh reality. Most modern love isn't unconditional. It's conditional. It lives under terms, whether spoken out loud or left unspoken in silence. Think about it. How does her tone shift when your money slows down? How does her affection change when the excitement fades? How does her attitude look when you stop pouring energy into her every day? Suddenly the warmth grows cold. Suddenly the tenderness feels transactional. That's conditional love in action. Now, does this mean women are heartless? Absolutely not. What it means is that love often reflects circumstances, security, stability, consistency, and effort. Here's the danger for men. Instead of recognizing the conditions, they cling to a fantasy that love is always equal to their sacrifice. They give endlessly, believing loyalty guarantees reciprocity, but sacrifice does not guarantee love. Effort does not guarantee devotion. And when she pulls back, they feel betrayed instead of realizing the truth. They were living blind. The shift comes when you finally see it clearly. Once you recognize conditional love for what it is, it doesn't make you bitter. It makes you wise. You stop giving blindly. You start observing. You measure actions, not words. Ask yourself, does she love me at my lowest or only when I'm at my peak? Because that answer tells you everything. And once you know this, you stop being drained. You stop being a servant to affection. You protect your time, your energy, your devotion. You don't shut your heart, but you guard it carefully. That shift alone changes the entire balance. Because when a man understands conditional love, he stops being desperate for approval. And that's when the game ends. Truth number 2, the power of your attention most. Men don't understand just how valuable their attention is. They treat it like a free sample at a grocery store, handing it out to anyone who asks. Every glance, every text, every compliment, every late-night call, it's all energy. And energy is influence. Influence is power. But here's the trap. When you like a woman, you drown her in attention. You text constantly. You praise every picture. You're always available. And you think you're showing her devotion. But abundance kills value. Anything that flows too freely gets taken for granted. At first, she might enjoy it. But slowly your attention loses impact. Why? Because she never has to wonder about it. It's always there, guaranteed. But watch what happens when a man pulls back. Suddenly silence is louder than words. Absence creates curiosity. She wonders, where is he? Why isn't he reaching out? Who has his attention now? And that curiosity breeds desire. The truth is this. The more selective you are with your attention, the more powerful it becomes. When you protect it, it transforms into something rare, and rarity creates value. Your time becomes a gift. Your presence becomes magnetic. Your validation becomes the prize. This doesn't mean you play cruel games. It's not about manipulation. It's about respect for yourself, for your energy, and for your focus. Because here's the reality. The man who spends all his attention chasing ends up ignored. The man who invests that energy into himself, his goals, his growth, his body, his money, his purpose, becomes magnetic. He doesn't chase women. Women chase him because his attention is no longer cheap. Protect your attention. Use it wisely. Because once you do, you'll notice something powerful. The same women who once ignored you will begin to fight for what you no longer give away easily. Truth number 3. Emotional control. For centuries, men have been conditioned to prove love through reaction. She ignores you? Chase harder. She pulls away? Try to buy her back with effort. She lashes out? Prove your passion by yelling. She threatens to leave? Beg to make her stay. This is the trap that enslaves men. It turns them into emotional puppets. Because here's the truth. The strongest weapon many women use is not beauty or charm. It's their ability to control your emotions. They test your anger. They test your jealousy. They test your insecurity. And every time you explode, panic, or beg, you prove you're not in control. You show your strings. But something changes the moment you take control. When her silence no longer shakes you. When her mood swings don't send you into panic. When her threats don't break your composure. Suddenly the games don't work anymore. Your calmness unsettles her. Your steadiness confuses her. And here's the key. Emotional control doesn't mean shutting off your feelings. It means mastering them. It means knowing anger when uncontrolled is weakness. Jealousy when loud is insecurity. Begging dressed as loyalty is desperation. Picture this. She storms out, expecting you to follow. You stay calm. She gives you the silent treatment, expecting an apology frenzy. You carry on, unshaken. She threatens to leave, expecting panic. You respond with quiet strength, ready to walk if respect is gone. That's emotional control. And it commands respect. Because real strength isn't loud. It's not about shouting. It's about steadiness under fire. It's about remaining grounded when tested. When you control yourself, you control the relationship. Not through manipulation, but by refusing to be played. And when that happens, the game changes forever. Truth number 4. The reality of options from childhood. Most men are fed a dangerous lie. That women are the prize, and men must perform, chase, and compete just to earn their attention. This mindset creates desperation. It convinces men that losing one woman means they've lost everything, and so they cling. They tolerate disrespect. They beg for scraps of affection. But here's the truth. Men have options too. The difference is this. Women's options are given. Men's options are built. A young woman can walk into a room and attract attention instantly. But a man must earn his options. He builds them in the gym, in his career, in his character, in his confidence. That's why some men live in scarcity. They never build. They never grow. They stay stuck, fearing loss, because they don't believe they have choices. But a man who builds never fears scarcity. He knows that if one woman leaves, another, often better, will arrive, and that knowledge makes him free. Here's the irony. Women are most attracted to men who aren't afraid to lose them. Why? Because that energy screams abundance. It shows he's not desperate. And nothing is more magnetic than a man who doesn't cling. So build yourself. Create options. Never again let scarcity trap you in disrespect. Because the man who has options never begs. He chooses. Truth number 5. Self-respect. Too many men give everything in relationships. Their time, money, effort, devotion. But sacrifice the one thing they cannot afford to lose. Their self-respect. A man without self-respect is like a castle with no walls. Easy to invade, easy to conquer, easy to control. Women sense it instantly. They test it. And if they see you're willing to bend your principles just to keep them, they will push again and again. Here's the truth. If you can't defend your respect, you can't defend your love either. You can give gifts, write poems, sacrifice your life, and still end up discarded. Because none of it matters if you've proven you're willing to betray yourself just to hold on. Love without respect is not love. It's submission. Now picture the opposite. A man with clear boundaries. Not walls to shut people out, but standards that define how far others can go. He doesn't accept shouting, manipulation, or betrayal disguised as affection. He doesn't accept being treated as an option while giving his all. That man radiates strength. His words carry weight. His presence commands respect. And ironically, that makes him more attractive, not less. Because here's the paradox. When you respect yourself above desire, you become magnetic. Self-respect transforms everything. It raises your standards. It protects your energy. It keeps your dignity intact whether she stays or goes. And once you understand that, the cycle of disrespect ends forever. Bonus. Truth number 6. The power of patience. One of the most overlooked strengths in a man's life is patience. Impatience makes men chase. It makes them settle for less. It makes them jump at the first opportunity out of fear that nothing better will come. But patience is discipline. It's knowing you don't have to grab the first option. It's knowing you don't have to rush to prove yourself. Patience makes you deliberate, and deliberate men are powerful. Because while other men chase instantly, you observe. While they react, you wait. While they beg, you choose. And that stillness terrifies games. Because games rely on your impatience. Silence only works if you panic. Manipulation only works if you rush to react. Patience turns those tricks into dust. Bonus. Truth number 7. Boundaries create attraction. Here's something few men understand. Boundaries don't push people away. They attract the right ones closer. When you set boundaries, you show strength. You show clarity. You show self-respect. And that makes people lean in. Because boundaries are not walls. They're doors. They're standards. They say, this is how far you can go. Cross it, and I walk. Women may test boundaries, but deep down, they respect men who stand firm. Because firmness equals strength, and strength equals security. So never fear boundaries. They don't destroy connection. They filter it. They reveal who respects you and who doesn't, and that's how you keep your circle strong. Conclusion. Once men know, the game is over. You've now seen the truths every man must learn. Love is often conditional. Your attention is priceless. Emotional control makes you untouchable. Options remove. Desperation. Self-respect is non-negotiable. Patience makes you powerful. Boundaries attract respect. When a man wakes up to these truths, everything changes. He stops chasing blindly. He stops begging for scraps of affection. He stops giving away his dignity in the name of love. He doesn't become bitter. He becomes awake. He becomes deliberate. He becomes strong. Picture the difference. One man begs for validation, lowering his standards just to keep someone beside him. Another stands firm, protecting his energy, controlling his emotions, respecting himself. Which man commands respect? Which man can't be manipulated anymore? Which man do you think women admire more deeply? That's the shift. That's the awakening. Because once you know these truths, the old games stop working. The silent treatments, the threats, the tests, they all collapse. You're no longer the pawn. You're the player. And here's the ultimate secret. Once men know this, women don't lose. The games lose. What's left is clarity, respect, genuine connection. The ground where real love can actually exist. So if you've made it this far, don't keep this awakening to yourself. Hit subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. Tap like, so this message spreads to more men who need it. And in the comments, tell me which truth hit you the hardest. Because the moment you live these truths, you stop being controlled. You start being in control. And that's when everything in your life changes.